Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is episode 66. It's all about the oil. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're listening to this. That's a good way to be able to get emails on when we're broadcasting. And also, don't forget to tune in on Saturdays when I do my live broadcast on Rumble, only on Rumble. Okay, so if you're listening to me on another pipeline like YouTube, transition over to Rumble for me. And on Saturdays, we broadcast usually at 10 a.m. Unfortunately, this Saturday, I will be at the Central Texas Veterans Cemetery doing a wreaths for vets. Okay, I have a friend of mine that died in Afghanistan, as you were in Iraq in 2008 on January 31st, Captain Michael Norman, and we always make sure there's a wreath placed at his gravestone, and there's they think they're planning on 12,000 wreaths being spread out throughout the cemetery. So that's where we'll be this Saturday. Planning to come live about 2 p.m. on that day. So it'll be a later broadcast. So please stay tuned for that. Route 66, episode 66 is all about the oil. Okay, so remember this. Over the hills and through the woods, to grandmother's house we go, while you're paying about $3.50 a gallon of gas to get there. That's a lot more we paid last Thanksgiving. About $1.50 more, and there's probably more to come from that. President Biden has slowly inched his way to thinking that the best thing he can do is let us drill. I don't think he's thinking about that too much. He's thinking about his own political future. So 2 days ago, this is matter of fact, I'm recording this on Thanksgiving morning. I didn't have time yesterday to do it. A couple of days ago, I think it was on Tuesday, he authorized the release of 50 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. 99% of us don't know what the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is. Well, that's a mandatory by law. That's a mandatory by law reserve of oil. And in case of national emergency, I believe it's supposed to last in between 30 and 90 days worth of oil. It was started in 1923. In 1923, if you didn't know, Calvin Coolidge was president because Warren G. Harding had already passed away. Also, wait a minute. Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's right. And then, so ever since 1923, we've had a stockpile of oil. Mostly it's kept along the U.S. Gulf Coast in Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. And what they do is they take out salt caverns and stuff that there's no longer salts down there, and they've been pumping oil down there. And right now we have 600 million barrels of oil. We ran out of space. So what we do after that, those huge million-gallon tanks of you see all over the place that store oil, we build those and we store oil in them. And the old adage, buy low, sell high, right? So when the price of oil drops like it did in the beginning of the Bush administration, they were buying boatloads of oil because it was cheap, and we needed to build our capacity. because you might think 50 million barrels is a lot of oil, but did you know we use 18 million barrels of oil a day in our country, and that's for usage. We used another 2 million barrels of oil to make plastic this and plastic that, and people don't understand when they're drinking that water bottles that I'm environmentally friendly. Well, it takes oil to make those environmentally friendly water bottles. Okay. I think my light is a little bright. We'll have to fix that later on. But also to go along with that, deal about the strategic petroleum reserve, if you take oil out of it, you're required by law to put it back in. So, like right now, oil is pretty high. Okay, so we're selling this oil, bringing it on market, in which I learned last night doing my studies for this podcast is India and China are buying most of this oil. He made it sound like he was doing the U.S. a favor. Well, it came out the oil that they're bringing to market, 18 million barrels of it is sulfur oil. Okay, that's low grade oil that we don't even want to use, that we just keep. It's hard to refine. It's and it's not very energy efficient. But we're making money off selling oil. That oil that we were using, that we're bringing to market, is just for Americans, and now it's on the world commodity. And then, lo and behold, the price of oil goes up as soon as he says we're going to bring 50 million barrels to market. You're supposed to drop the price of gas, and usually it takes about 30 days for the price of oil to reflect into the price of gas. So now we're expecting the gas to go even higher when this oil comes to market. That the 18 million barrels of it's already sold to the Indians and to the Chinese instead of going to Americans. Who are we fooling on all this, right? When you're taking a minivan to grandma's house over the hills and through the woods, like I was saying a while ago, where you're paying $3.50 a gallon. If I don't have my calculator or my phone with me, but $3.50 a gallon, and you need 20 gallons. That's 20 gallons gas at $3.50. That's a 20, 40, 60, 60, $75 for a tank of gas. And now you got the price of Thanksgiving meal went up 15%. So now you're paying $1 more for a turkey. And Peppermint Patty a couple of days ago said it's only $1. $1 ain't going to affect anyone. But if you're that one person that makes $12, $13 an hour, and you got bills to pay, and you want to have a nice little Thanksgiving dinner, the old adage is let them eat cake. One of this famous, probably not true sayings of Marie Antoinette that came out of the French Revolution. They're playing this game that they can thumb their nose at the American public, and they don't know, they don't need to know. I was going to say this a little bit later, but how out of touch are some of these Democrats? Well, you have a U.S. president, used to be a vice president, used to be a senator. He's taken Thanksgiving to be with a billionaire in Nantucket, Massachusetts. Okay. So when I was in the Army, we always saw that the president, President Bush went to Crawford. He bought that house. President Trump, Mar-a-Lago, that's his. You get these instances of Bill Clinton didn't own a house. He was a professional politician. What's his name? Barack Obama didn't own a house because he's a professional politician. Joe Biden doesn't. He owns the stuff in Delaware, but he's a professional politician. But how did he get the money to buy all those compounds and resorts and stuff in Delaware? His wife is a teacher, and he was a professional politician. So if you make $167,000 to $200,000 a year, how are you buying all these really cool places to live? Good points, right? And they're so intent of making us convert to. We're going back to the subject of the oil and stuff. Matter of fact, I wanted to show y'all this. If y'all think that James doesn't know about the oil business, what he's talking about with the oil, when I was a teenager, my dad and my uncles owned what they call Pierce Oil and Gas. So they went out and bought oil leases, and they sold percentages of the oil lease, and they drilled, and they got 5 wells, I believe, up in North Texas, near Aspermont. But when my dad passed away in 2016, this was one of the coolest things I got. So if you could notice, it's the oil derrick. Okay, really, really cool. My sister made sure I got this after my dad passed away. But if I can get it to focus just right, okay, you can see Pierce Oil and Gas. Okay. You see my dad's name on it, my Uncle Herschel's name. Isn't that really neat? So some guy using business cards made these things in closing glass. This is one of the most precious memories I have from my dad. This was so cool. But meanwhile, back at the ranch. How do you replace 18 million barrels of oil a day? They want to take us off the oil market, and there's no way you're going to replace that much energy. What's her name? Jennifer Granholm. She's a SEC Energy. Okay, she was asked the other day on Axios, how much oil does the U.S. use per day? And she did not even have a clue. There's 2 things. If you're the SEC Energy or the SEC Commerce, you should know that stuff. That should be second nature. You can give a roundabout average. I think it's about 15 million barrels a day. Or in reality, 18 plus 2. But some of these people are such big political hacks, they have no idea what's coming their way. And they're just using for a paycheck, and the plus their stats are up. So in 2024, when Biden doesn't run again, maybe they'll be the nominee, because I can guarantee you Harris won't be the nominee. She ain't going to know what hits her, because she'll drop out of the first primary before I'm sorry. She did do that. Okay. That must have been a nightmare I had. Let's see. Some of the other stuff that I've been reading over the last few days is, let's see. Oh, yeah. So I was talking about unrealistic requirements. They want you to drive electric vehicles. They want everybody to buy electric vehicles. They'll give you a rebate to buy an electric vehicle, but they're still expensive. The electricity you use in those vehicles are expensive. You're spending between the average electric bill right now is between 10 and 15 cents a kilowatt hour. Okay, it takes 125 volts to charge a car battery. So you're spending about $9 a charge. To fully charge a battery, that'll take you about 300 miles. But still, that's electricity, and we got to still have the infrastructure for electricity. Where do you charge that? You can't just pull into a filling station and say, fill her up. I need 25 kilowatts of energy before I can make it to my house. It's going to take time. You got to find a place to charge your battery. How long will that car stay started? If, some people like to kick back in the car and turn the radio on and listen. Well, how long will that battery charge last like that? How long do those batteries last in those vehicles? And people aren't asking these questions. How much does it cost to register an electric vehicle? How long will an electric vehicle last in the United States? How much does it cost to repair an electric vehicle? And who's qualified to work on an electric vehicle? It ain't like you got a starter and solenoid and a motor that, an engine that has 8 cylinders in it. Those are things that people aren't even asking. They're just like lemmings walking right off the cliff because the first one did it. Oh, wow, look at it. This guy's got a such and such electric vehicle. I'm going to go get one just like that. And they buy it and they come back and say, how do I charge this then? What do you mean I got to go find me an electrician to adapt my existing electrical box so I can actually charge my vehicle? Or are you going to run around with an extension cord in your car for the rest of your life now? And hopefully you're able to charge your car battery so you can make it home for dinner. While instead of paying $3.50 a gallon, you're paying 25 cents a kilowatt hour because you're putting such a strain on the electrical grid that they have to expand it even more. And by the way, expanding the electrical grid can be very, very tasking and expensive. Go ask someone that works for one of your local electrical companies. Ask them how much a substation costs to make and maintain, or a transformer. That's if you. Well, I don't have overhead lines in my neighborhood, but if you do, how much does it cost to replace a transformer that's on a telephone pole? People don't ask these questions. What are we using to fuel electrical companies? Is it coal? Is it liquid natural gas? Is it oil? Is it solar? Is it wind? I was outside today. It wasn't even windy. So that means you'll be getting zero energy from windmills. And it's overcast. Yeah, it's overcast, so it's a zero solar day. So when you don't have any solar or any wind, where are you going to get all your energy from? People don't ask these kind of questions, and they should be. Okay. The cost of a vehicle. President Biden was on TV the other day, and he was having a blast. He got to ride in a GMC Hummer. That's really cool because they're finally coming back out again, except they're EVs. EV means electrical vehicle. This Hummer, he can go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Pretty cool, huh? It cost $112,000 to buy. Let that sink in. While you're paying for more at the gas pump, while you're paying more at the grocery store, while you're paying more if you're able to find Christmas gifts, the president's sporting around in a $112,000 GMC Hummer. They can do 60 in 3 seconds, and he can squeal the tires while you're trying to make ends meet. So I don't know. That was the biggest fluke he could have ever done, because it made him out to be something he's not. He's acting well. He is rich, but he's out of touch with the average Joe out there that needs vehicles for work and needs vehicles to travel. And electrical is not everybody's cup of tea. But you look at what we do as a country, and we're, like I said, we're using 18 million barrels of oil a day to fuel our economy. just not practical to be able to exploit that, okay, and to tone it down. I mean, a year ago, we were an energy independent country because guys like us in Texas, in North Dakota, Alaska, and Ohio are pumping some serious amounts of oil, and we still have unexploited reserves out there that we know of because we can frack and we can deep well, and we get that capability. And now we're begging OPEC to increase their production. We're begging the Russians to increase their production. And last time I checked, half the people in OPEC don't like us still, partly because, we were there defending the rights of other people, trying to keep them alive, and to keep terrorism from coming over to our country. But when you deal with people like Russia, we shouldn't be giving them a dime at all. I mean, they got 100,000 soldiers on the Ukrainian border, probably more as a show of force than an invasion force, because they want to make sure Ukraine doesn't become a NATO country. But that being said, look how we got out of Afghanistan. So do you think the Russians are going to take us serious? You think the Chinese are? They got us over a barrel because they know we'll buy their petroleum or will allow them to become Google billionaires, if that's a way you can put it. They don't care about us because we're like a paper tiger now. We can say something and we'll just crumble at the first sign of opposition. Even though we got this great army that does not need to be used, but is so ill-equipped and ill-trained that, and we're playing the little woke games and brief this and brief that, and it's stupid. I mean, we should be thankful for what we have, but we're all at each other's throats all the time, and we got one side believe they can do this, and another side believe they can do that. Well, in my opinion, since I'm a conservative, even if I wasn't a conservative, but I believe in less government and less taxes. It gives you the freedom to do what you want with your money and your family. Because I'm one of the last people to say, hey, I'm with the government, I'm here to help. Please, I hope I never, ever truly say that in front of anyone ever again. Because, like, I was a city councilman, and I'm a board of trustees on in a college and stuff. But I do know that we have to lower our taxes and keep our governmental officials accountable for the money they spend. But these people in power right now, all they want to do is spend with no accountability. Or, as Speaker Pelosi puts it, you got to pass the bill before you find out what's in the bill. So So basically, these politicians, these Democrats, are passing bills that are skeletons, and then put a clause in there to allow the staff to backfill everything it needs to be backfilled in those, which should be totally unconstitutional, because you shouldn't pass an architecture of a bill. You should be passing a fully written bill that goes to committee, and then goes to the House, and then goes to committee, and goes to the Senate. I'm a bill on Capitol Hill. I say that a lot on my podcast, but that's true. And one thing else I'm going to say before I log off in just a second is, the president was at that climate summit the other day, and he said, "Oh, we reached an agreement. We're going to reduce emissions even more." Mr. President, and I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, when you sit out there and you build an agreement, that should be treated as a treaty and should go before the United States Senate for ratification, because that's what the Constitution says. You can say it's not a treaty, but just an agreement. If it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck, it's a duck. So I would bring that stuff beyond to the Senate, and if you say, well, it'll never get past the Senate, well, then it wasn't meant to be written in the first place. So, and then one thing I forgot to say, Senator Manchin from West Virginia, him and Kristen Sinema are the ones that are holding the fort, because the Democrats want to do away with the filibuster, which is a bad idea. But he was telling the president the other day they get back with the people that own the XL pipeline and allow them to finish building it, so we can get more oil to market down here in the United States, so we can try to get the oil down to a manageable level for price per gallon of gas. So, but it'll probably fall on deaf ears. They'll probably regulate him to the trash heap of history, and I wish Manchin would just become a Republican. Let your be humble about your existence, and you already act like a Republican in most parts, so just be a Republican. So thank y'all for tuning in today. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report. I'll catch you on the flip side, and don't forget, Saturday about 2 o'clock I should be going live. All right? And I'll catch you on the flip side. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report. I'm out.